Hi folks, Mr. Long here. I am going to make a screencast for you on how to use the TI-84 calculator to solve some what are fairly complex calculus problems, but when we use it, it's going to be fairly straightforward. Okay, so what I've got here is a function that says s of x equals 10 sine, then in brackets e to the cos x. In this case, this is rectilinear motion. It's an object going back and forth. S represents centimeters away from an origin, left or right, left being negative, right being positive, and X represents time in seconds. Okay, so we need to learn how to use the calculator to do this. The first question is, at what times is the speed of the particle 1 centimeter per second in the first 2 seconds? So at what times is the speed? So as soon as it says speed, we're doing absolute value, right? So speed is absolute value of velocity. Well, this equation is position. So I need to get the derivative, certainly. So v of x equals s prime of x. But speed equals the absolute value. There, the bar. Absolute value of v of x. Okay, that's what I'm needing to get, the absolute value of the velocity. Okay, so the derivative of position and then take the absolute value, and that will give me the speed. So what I do is I come over to the calculator. So the first thing you need to learn with these calculators is how to enter functions in, and it's very straightforward. So I hit the y equals button, which is the button in the topmost left, and I enter in the function. So the first thing I'm going to do is enter in 10 sine, right? I've got 10 sine, and then in brackets, I'm going to put e. E is second function and ln, and it puts it right up into the exponent, and that's going to have to be cos of x. X is the button beside the green alpha key. Cos x, bracket, and arrow over, and bracket again. So I've stored that. That's my s of x equation, which is the position equation. Next, I need to get the absolute value of the velocity. So what I'm going to do in the next equation is I'm going to put in the velocity. So I'm going to go down to y2. Okay, so I'm now over here at y2. I want to do the velocity. Well, that's just the derivative. So with this, there's a really nice shortcut menu. And when you press the green alpha button, so you press alpha and you hit y equals, you're going to get a series of menus. One on fractions, the second one on derivatives, absolute value, etc. The third one on matrices, which we don't use, and the next one on calculations. Okay, the next one on calculations. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this in a second. So what we want to do, the function menu. So alpha and the function menu. Well, we need to do a derivative, n deriv. So if I go down and I hit enter on 3, or I just type in 3, now you can see that I've got the derivative notation there. And we're doing a derivative with respect to x, so d by dx. And then what I'm going to put in here is, instead of retyping this 10 sine thing, I can actually just put it and say, take the derivative of the first equation I've put in, y1. So the way I do that is, again, I use my shortcut menus. And when I press my shortcut menus, you'll notice I have fraction, function, matrix, and y variables. So I go over here to y variables, and I type in y1. That's like typing in f of x. So now what it's going to do is get the derivative of the equation that's stored in y1 right there. Then I go over and I do it for all values of x. So that's now a velocity. But in this question, I don't want velocity, I want speed. So I need to go down again, and I need to do the absolute value of the equation stored in the second. So how do I do that? Alpha, and then hit the first button, and there's fractions. The next one over is functions. I actually have to hit that button to go over, and look at there it is, absolute value. So I just hit absolute value. And now I have to take the absolute value of the y2 function, or the y2 equation. And how I do that, again, is alpha, and then I believe it's the fourth one, y variables, and now I go down to y2 and hit enter. Okay, so now I've got that stored. What I want to do now is figure out all the different times the speed is 1 centimeter per second. So I do it the same way we do at the black calculator. Look at a table first. So to do this, see where it says table setup on the window button. So I hit the second function, table setup, and I'm going to start my table at 0 because I'm going from 0 to 2 seconds. And I'm going to go in increments of 0.1. So that's perfect. Now what I do is I look at the table. So I've set up the table, and then I go second function, table. And what I do is I'm going to look for when it, oh, first of all, I need to be over in Y3, right? Y3 is my speed one. So Y1 is position, Y2 is velocity, Y3 is speed. So it looks like the speed hits 2 somewhere between 0 and 0.1 rather. So I'm going to keep going down. So 6.085, 4.1, 2. Oh, look at this. So it looks like it hits, 1 centimeter per second, not 2. Oops, I need to get right over to there. And I need to be looking at Y3 again, so I curse over to Y3. And get right back up there to 0, and then go over to Y3. So now I'm at Y3, and I need to get it to 1 centimeter per second for speed. So it seems to occur between 0 and 0.1. Then it occurs again at about between 1 and 1.1. And does it occur again for 2 seconds? Oh, looks like it occurs twice in the first 2 seconds at about 0.1, and I should write that down at approximately 0.1 and approximately 1.1. So 0.1 and 1.1 are the two approximate locations. So let's now go into the solver. So second function, or not even second function, I just have to press the math button. And keep going down until I get solver. Whoops, solver, and I hit enter. So now you'll notice this solver, you don't have a left side, right side option. It's just you have to set the left side equal to 0. So once again, which function did I use? Y1, Y2, or Y3? Well, it's Y3, and we want Y3 to be equal to 1. In other words, alpha, check that one, I can go across to Y variables, and I can go down to Y3. So instead of saying Y3 equals 2, I can say Y3 instead of Y3 equals 1, I can do Y3 minus 1 equals 0. Hit enter. And then I need to make my first guess, which we said was about 0.1. And then all I have to do is hit alpha, solve, which is alpha, enter. So alpha, and then the enter button. And it's thinking, and there's the first one. The first solution is 0.0404. And then the next one, all I have to do is type in my other guess, which was 1.1. And then I hit alpha and enter. And the other one is 1.05. So then I would type in and 1.05. 0.05